Hey guys, are y'all looking for that special salsa that you can enjoy with chips? Are you a chips and salsa hound like I am? Like when you go to the Mexican food restaurant, do you fill up on chips and salsa before the food even comes out? Well, if that's you, then I have the perfect salsa for you to eat at home. And today, I'm going to show you how to make it.
Before we get started, I want to give a shout out to Jared Hart. He's another YouTuber who's given me some encouragement, and I hope I've done the same for him. He has a channel called The Heartcast, and I encourage you to go over there and check him out, listen to some of his good stories. Well, without further ado, let's get started.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to Chawk-N-Talk. The Chikenhawk here, and I'm going to show you how to make one of my favorite Saturday football recipes. Now, I'm a sucker for chips and salsa, so today I'm going to teach you how to make my sweet pepper salsa. So buckle up and let's dive in. Okay, before we get started, you can see that I've put gloves on my hands. This is very important because even though I'm dealing with a Poblano pepper, which isn't really known for its heat, it does still contain the molecule capsaicin in it. And if you rub your eyes after you have messed with the insides of this pepper, you're going to know it. It's going to burn. And it's going to be one of the irritating feelings you get. It'll pass probably about 10 minutes or so, maybe 30. Okay. But you want to make sure that you're doing the right thing. You should also know that I've cleaned the countertop. I've cleaned my knives. I've sharpened them. I've rinsed them. You want to wash them after you have sharpened them, just in case there are any little metal bits that are left over after the sharpening process. Okay, that way you can be sure there's nothing in your food that doesn't need to be there. Also, I've got all my ingredients lined up. You can't see them because they're out of view, but just so you know, I've got the poblano, I've got a mini sweet bell pepper. Okay, I actually have 3 of them. I've got a tomatillo. All right, it's already been washed. The casing has been taken off of it, and it's ready to go. I have a Roma tomato. Now, we're going to talk about this in a minute, about whether I use this or not. Okay, I've got some garlic. I went ahead and bought the bottled garlic. It just makes it a little bit quicker. And then salt, pepper. I'm sorry, no pepper. We're dealing with peppers. I had some vinegar, but apparently I spilled it. And some lemon juice. Okay, and that's what we're dealing with today. It's very simple, and it's going to be really sweet, and you're going to love it. All right, so first and foremost, I'm going to take care of the onion first, and here's why. I'm not making a big batch of this today. I'm going to make small little batches. So I don't need all of this. And what I want to do is cut this and then put it in a sealed bag. That way none of the odors get to the rest of the onion, and it's going to last just a bit longer. In fact, I'm probably going to only use a quarter of this today. And so I'm going to cut it all the way in half. And if you do something different, that is fine. All right, but this is the way I'm going to do it. I'm going to cut it in half. And then I like to kind of trim this top piece off. You know what, let me use this knife, a little bit better. Trim this piece off. And always, just a cutting tip, always make sure you're cutting away from you, all right, when you're doing it like that. And that way you don't have to worry about slicing yourself. All right, so I'm going to cut this in half, okay? And this is the part that I'm going to save, okay? So I'm going to take care of that real quick. Y'all just hang on, I'll be right back. All right, I used my food saver machine, and I went ahead and sealed this onion up. That way I know that it's sealed and no other odors are going to get in there. So now I'm going to run this to the refrigerator real quick. All right, I'm going to go ahead and chop my onion up just a little bit more. All right, and because I don't want any big chunks. Like when you're eating salsa, in my opinion, one of the worst things that you can do is get a big chunk of onion that just overpowers everything else in there. And so I don't care about that very much. By the way, if you haven't noticed, this is my trash bowl. I try to keep one handy. That way I can quickly dispose of anything, and we can move this process right along. All right, for today, I'm just using one poblano pepper, okay? And so I want as much of the pepper as I can. I like to cut it like this, where I cut around the rim of the pepper, right, and try to pull out the seeds. Now, the reason I do that usually, okay, is because I want to keep the seeds. What I'm trying to do is anytime I have a vegetable that has a seed that I can try to regrow it, I'm going to try to start doing that. That way, I don't have to go to the grocery store and purchase these every single time I need them. Now, it's football season, so we're not really in the growing time for poblano peppers, so I'm going to have to save these until spring. But for now, I'm going to put them in my trash bowl. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and kind of cut this into a little bit smaller chunks. Probably should have used my other knife. And I'm going to put them in the blender. All right. Okay, next, let me get rid of the seeds. Some people like the seeds in there, some don't. Just for now, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to take my 3 mini bell peppers. Again, they've all been washed. And I am going to top them and take the seeds out. Now, the seeds didn't come out of that one, so I'm going to do this. Okay, and I'm sorry, guys, can't see everything I'm doing. I'm not really a kitchen video kind of guy, but apparently I'm becoming one. This is my second video in the kitchen. So just do that. Beautiful little mini bell peppers. All right, so I don't have exact ratios. If you haven't noticed that yet, I know it's only my second video to be doing food, but I am a cook to taste kind of guy. All right, so you're not going to see me with too many measuring spoons on this kind of stuff. See, already making mistakes there. Excuse me. So it may not be spicy, but man, it'll get to your nose. I just wasted some of that. We're going to try to get it back though. So none of y'all run over and complain to Chef Ramsay about my knife skills. All right, I know they're bad, but I'm at home and I'm not cooking for anyone, so it's no big deal. All right, next I'm gonna go ahead and cut up the tomatillo. Now I gotta be honest, I don't know much about the tomatillo except I really like the way it tastes in salsas and in sauces, especially when you mix that with like some sour cream or some cream cheese, something, make some kind of enchilada sauce out of it. I do know this though, it has a stem that we need to get rid of, and that stem goes just a little bit into it. And so just make sure you have a sharp knife. All right, I know a lot of people think that sharp knives cause injuries, but if you know what you're doing, a dull knife probably causes more injuries because you're trying to force it. You want something that just, cuts right through what you're doing. And this is the inside of a tomatillo, if you've never seen one. It looks kind of like an apple, to be honest with you. So a mix between an apple and tomato. Shoot me a comment if you have a better description of this thing, because I want to know your thoughts. All right, like I said, I know it tastes good. I'm gonna kind of trim it up a bit before I put it in. So interesting story about this salsa. I'm a science teacher, and in fact, I'm a junior high science teacher, and they changed the standards that I teach, and they moved acids and bases down to the science that I teach. And it's been a while since I taught it, and one of the labs I came across was about ingredients of salsa. So I kind of figured this out by making salsa for my students. All right. So it's interesting what you can learn just by doing it. I'm going to go ahead and cap the lid. Now I want to talk about this guy real quick, the Roman tomato. I've made the salsa with it, and I've made it without it. And to be honest with you, I like not having it in there. So I'm going to when I get done with this, I'm going to divide it into 2 batches, and I'm going to put the tomato in one, and I'm going to make the other one without it. Okay, so we're just going to hold on to this until I kind of get the salsa sorted out. I'm going to put the lid on my food processor, and I'm just going to pulse it till I see that it looks good. All right, I hope you can see this already. You know, this type of food processor I have, it can't operate with the lid off. So don't worry if you think that I'm about to accidentally turn this thing on and mess up this knife. I've messed up the knife another way. That's a different story for a different day. Okay. But you see the coloring of this? Man, it looks so different from the salsa you maybe see at the store or at your favorite Mexican food restaurant. I like to mix it up just some more. This is going to be chunky as well. This isn't no thin salsa. This is going to be that salsa that you get, you know you're getting. It's very hearty, and man, it tastes so good. All right. It is looking nice, man. It's smelling good. It's fresh. As you can tell at this point, I have not put any salt or other seasonings in it. It's just peppers and onion and tomatillo, and that is it. Okay, so now we're going to add a little bit of garlic. All right, so now I just got this measuring spoon out. I don't even know why, because I'm just gonna do that right there, and I'm gonna put it right in. That looks about right, the amount I want for this amount of salsa. Okay, I'm a garlic guy. I like the garlic. All right, and so you know what? Since I got it open, I'm gonna go and add a little bit of salt, I don't even know what to call that. Just a little sprinkling of salt. Okay, it doesn't have to be much. I'm gonna add a splash of lemon juice. All right. By the way, one of the things I didn't know is the FDA approval for things that go on the shelf, like salsa, has to do with its acid level, so its pH. And so you might want to look into that if you're interested about making your own salsa and keeping it on the shelf. All right, and then I'm going to add a splash of vinegar. Now, as I'm doing this, I'm watching, and I'm going to tell you guys, I didn't realize this the first time I made it, but the vinegar is what makes all the difference in the world. Okay, we're going to put our food processor lid back on, just enough to mix it up. All right, I'm going to stir with my knife today. I feel like Bob Ross. You know, Bob Ross painted with a knife. You know, I'm going to stir with a knife. Of course, I don't have a hair as awesome as Bob Ross either. But I guess I do have something in common with him. I have my own show now, so there you go. There's no happy little accident, so I'm doing all this on purpose. All right, so here we go. That's what it looks like. And let's do a taste test. So this is one of my brands of chips that I purchased. I like these pretty good. They're Caladods, and they're not very expensive. I think it's about $2.50 a bag, something like that. So good enough. It's a nice corn chip. It's yellow corn, as you can tell. You know, and the rule is you never double dip. All right, so I want you to look at that. Okay, you can see it on the chip, and this is without any tomatoes in it at all. I'm going to give it a quick taste, and we're going to continue. Needs a little bit of salt. All right, a little bit more salt. I'm going to add a little bit more lemon juice, and just a smidge more of the vinegar, because it's not really coming out. As much as I'd like. We're going to mix that up. Another thing about salsa that's interesting is that sometimes you just need to let it sit, and those flavors will just come out on their own. However, if you're not getting the taste of all of what you want, here, I'm going to do this. All right, then maybe it's just not there, and you got to add a little bit more. There we go. I did it. All right, so I'm going to move this into my bowl. I'm going to tell you what I'm going to do. I got 2 bowls. I know this is happening. I'm going to pour some in here. I'm going to pour the rest in here. I take my stir knife. And move that on out of there. I know there's better ways to do this. I just don't want to get out of my chair. So lazy Chikenhawk today. Lazy Chikenhawk making lazy sweet pepper salsa. Oh, come on. There you go. And the last thing we're going to do, I'm just going to leave this here. I'm going to move this one out of the way. And I am going to cut up. You know what? Let me just do this. Breaking my own rules. Just cut toward myself. I know. Breaking my own rules. The good thing about making salsa is your knife cuts don't have to be perfect because it's all going to be ground up anyway. I'm going to add the rest of the ingredients back in here. Now, there's a reason for this, and the reason is the juice will help kind of keep things settled down to the bottom of the mixer. All right, because you notice there's a lot of stuff that's kind of going up on the sides here, and I want to help to get that stuff back down where the blades are at. So that's why I'm doing that. And there we go. We have the tomato sweet pepper salsa, and we just have the regular sweet pepper salsa. Now, another thing I want to add, if you want to drop some jalapenos or ghost peppers or habaneros, serranos, whatever your favorite hot pepper is, you can definitely put in there and make your own sweet and hot pepper salsa. Now, my family doesn't care for a lot of heat. Now, I do. I'd like to put a jalapeno or 2 up in there. Okay, but you can kind of mix and match however you want. And that is a sweet pepper salsa. I've got my 2 salsas made. I've got the one without tomatoes here and the one with tomatoes here. Okay, and we're going to taste them and we're going to see if we can tell the difference and just make sure I made some good salsa. Okay, so here we go. All right, I like a lot of chunk right on the chip there, and so it just makes it taste a whole lot better to me. You know what? Never thought I'd see the day where I'm actually eating for a camera on purpose. Man, that's so good. You can taste the peppers, but you can taste the peppers. It's not this fiery ball in your mouth. You can taste the sweetness of the sweet bell pepper, the meatiness of the poblano. You can tell that the tomatillo is kind of hidden in there somewhere. It's not really a, hey, look at me type flavor, but it's good. And the vinegar and the lemon juice and salt just kind of bring these flavors to the forefront. Man, I really love this salsa. And with this one, all right, making sure I get a good chunk of tomato in there because I want to see the difference. Excuse me. It's just something a little different. And the good thing is if you have an allergy to tomatoes, you don't have to have them. But I really do I like what the tomatoes add to this. It's just a little bit more. And as you can tell in the salsa, let me show you both. They still both kind of look the same. Okay, we're not really having that typical Mexican food restaurant salsa or store-bought canned salsa where it's just the super red. It's really a pretty color to look at. It looks fresh and it tastes fresh. And so it makes it a really good, enjoyable treat. So I encourage you, go out, get those simple few ingredients. It probably takes about 20 minutes to make, probably about 30 minutes the first time. But once you get it figured out, you can make this up in no time. Man, serve it, invite some friends over, and just have some fun. In that word, blessings to you. The Chikenhawk's going to have some fun. I'll talk to you next time.